Hi, this is Crystal Richardson, Program Director for Special Education Services with the Alabama State Department of Education. I want to take a few minutes to talk about the Alabama High School Diploma. Alabama offers one diploma with 3 different pathways to earn a diploma. The first and most important thing to remember is that the IEP team should always choose the highest, most appropriate diploma pathway based on a student's long-term goals. We have a form on our webpage called Selecting the Highest Most Appropriate Alabama High School Diploma Pathway for IEP teams to use as a guide for discussing and selecting the most appropriate pathway. Alabama's 3 diploma pathways offered for a student with a disability who has an IEP include the General Education Pathway, the Essentials Pathway, and the Alternate Achievement Standards Pathway. All of these diploma pathways lead to an Alabama High School Diploma, which is the only exit document the Alabama State Department of Education recognizes at this time. The federal definition for a regular high school diploma means the standard high school diploma awarded to the preponderance of students in the state that is fully aligned with state standards, or a higher diploma, except that a regular high school diploma shall not be aligned to the alternate academic achievement standards and does not include a recognized equivalent of a diploma, such as a general equivalency diploma, GED, certificate of completion, certificate of attendance, or similar lesser credential. The first diploma pathway is the general education pathway, which meets the requirements of a federal definition of a regular high school diploma. When an IEP team makes a decision for a student with an IEP to participate in courses on the general education pathway, they have determined that a student will earn credits from courses based on the Alabama Courses of Study content standards, the same general education courses for students without disabilities. A student may receive accommodation and supports as outlined in his or her IEP. If a student with an IEP earns the required 24 credits or more, if your LEA requires more, then a student will earn an Alabama High School Diploma and count as a graduate. If a student earns the Alabama High School Diploma and truly earns the credits, meaning the student was not just passed on from grade to grade, a student's right to a free, appropriate public education ceases at that time, and a student graduates and exits school. The second diploma pathway is the Essentials pathway. When an IEP team makes the decision that a student with a disability with an IEP will participate in courses on the Essentials pathway, they have determined that a student will receive instruction based on the same state content standards. However, the content for essential courses is reduced in complexity and depth as compared to the general education course content standards. A student must earn the required 24 credits or more if your LEA requires more credits, and will receive support, accommodations, and specially designed instruction as documented in his or her IEP. Since the content standards for the essential courses do not fully align to the state content standards, a student will not count as a federal graduate, but may participate in all graduation activities and the graduation ceremony. And because the essential standards are not fully aligned to the state content standards, which means they do not meet the requirements of the federal definition of a regular high school diploma, graduation will be deferred and a student has a right to return to school after his or her cohort year and continue to receive a free, appropriate public education until the age of 21. If a student has met the requirements for graduation and returns to school, the student should be working towards meeting his or her post-school outcomes. The third diploma pathway is the Alternate Achievement Standards pathway. This pathway is designed for a student with the most significant cognitive disability who has an IEP. When an IEP team determines a student is a student with the most significant cognitive disability, the student will receive instruction based on the alternate achievement standards. The alternate achievement standards are significantly reduced in complexity and depth. Therefore, the alternate achievement standards are not fully aligned to the Alabama content standards. This means the alternate achievement standards do not lead to a diploma that meets the requirements of the federal definition of a regular high school diploma. Students following the alternate achievement standards pathway must earn the required 24 credits from courses with the prefix AAS. For example, AAS Reading 10 is the reading course for 10th grade with content based on the alternate achievement standards. When all 24 credits are earned, or more if your LEA requires more credits, a student will graduate with an Alabama high school diploma, but will not count as a federal graduate. A student may participate in all graduation activities and the graduation ceremony. Graduation may be deferred for a student who earns the Alabama high school diploma following the alternate achievement standards pathway, and a student has a right to return to school after his or her cohort year and continue to receive a free, appropriate public education until the age of 21. If the student has met the requirements for graduation and returns to school, the student should be working towards meeting his or her post-school outcomes. When you hear that graduation may be deferred, we're stating that a student may participate in graduation activities and the ceremony with their non-disabled, age-appropriate peers, yet return to school the following year to continue to receive a free, appropriate public education until the age of 21. Remember, this is due to the content standards for the credit-bearing courses on the Essentials pathway and the Alternate Achievement Standards pathway not meeting the requirements in the definition of a regular high school diploma, meaning the content standards for the Essential and Alternate Achievement courses are not fully aligned to the General Education State Content Standards. The Individuals with Disabilities Education Act, or IDEA, requires states to offer students who do not earn a regular high school diploma, as defined earlier, the opportunity to return to school until the age of 21. Here is a list of the memos sent out in 2017 regarding the 4-year graduation rate and graduation information pertaining to students with disabilities with an IEP. Also, the form selecting the highest, most appropriate Alabama high school diploma pathway, which can be found on our website, and where to find the Special Education Services chapter for graduation activities and diplomas in our section of the Alabama Administrative Code. This recorded presentation will be posted on the SES webpage under Secondary/Post-Secondary Diploma Pathways. It is important for all secondary teachers and IEP team members to have a clear understanding of the impact and effect a diploma received through the Essentials pathway or the Alternate Achievement Standards pathway has on a student's post-school outcomes. For example, a student who has earned an Alabama high school diploma on the Essentials pathway or the Alternate Achievement Standards pathway may not be accepted for admission to a 4-year institution of higher education program due to the course content not being fully aligned to the state content standards. We hope this has been helpful in determining which diploma pathway should be selected for a student with an IEP. A few takeaways. Always remember that the highest, most appropriate pathway should be chosen for a student, and that the parent and student should fully understand the difference between each diploma pathway. The Essentials pathway and the Alternate Achievement Standard course content is not fully aligned to the General Education course content. Therefore, the expectation for students earning credits in these courses is different than the expectation of students who earn credits from General Education courses based on state content standards. A student should always be given the opportunity to earn a regular high school diploma, even if the student may stay in school beyond 12 years. A student who has an IEP and who earns the required credits from the Essentials pathway or Alternate Achievement Standards pathway may graduate and return to school to work on post-school outcomes until the age of 21. We thank you for your time, and if you have questions, please contact the Special Education Services section at the Alabama State Department of Education.